Welcome to the About This Love podcast with your hosts Dale and Sherelle. To get all the latest ATL podcast news and media, please follow About This Love on Instagram, Discord, Facebook, and YouTube. Please consider supporting the About This Love podcast today by submitting a donation via PayPal or Cash App. Click on the link below to find our podcast and social media platforms. Thank you. Now for today's episode.
How you guys doing today? You are tuned into another episode of About This Love with myself, Dale, my wife, Sherelle. Say what's up.
What's up? What's up?
Hope you guys had a good week. I had a good week. I just felt like, I know the week was long, but it felt like it was long. Does that make sense?
I think everyone feels like 2020 has been long.
Today's episode, drum roll, is
Are you gonna insert the drum roll, or was
no.
I supposed to hold on? Is that in there? Can you hear it, guys?
Now we're gonna be talking about married life after children.
Married life after children?
Yeah, isn't that what you said?
Oh, I mean, yeah, because that was kind of like our conversation. And you know, one thing I just thought about, if this episode comes out in 2021, then I was just thinking that would make sense that 2020 has been long. So I would just say winter has been long.
I said the week had been long. You said 2020 had been long.
I know what you said, but I said 2020 is long and now 2021, because I think that's when this episode might be coming out.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, we pre-record our podcast episode. If that, I guess, hadn't been known, we pre-record all our episodes. Basically, I think the conversation my wife and I had off air was that oftentimes when people get married and have children, because when you have children, children consume so much of your life as they should. They kind of demand a lot of you. So when you're married and you have children, a lot of people have problems with shifting or with the husband and wife role after they have children. It kind of becomes just daddy mommy role, and mommy and daddy never get back to husband and wife, or if they do, it's kind of like it's never really priority. So today's episode, we just wanted to share a little bit from our own lives, and she wanted to tell a story about this movie that she watched.
Wait, I wanted to tell a story about the movie?
I mean, yeah, you was telling me about it.
Man, you just make it sound like I'm this like old storyteller.
Nah,
I mean, I do take a minute to get to the point sometimes, because I'd be like, well, no, the story connect with what I'm about to say, and just listen, just wait. But no, I was watching a movie. Don't remember the name of it, but it was on Netflix. And of course, they're promoting all these like Christmas movies. So, you might have seen it if you hear how I'm talking about it. But basically, like, this woman was so consumed with, I guess, trying to get her husband through school and get her son, off to college. The second he left for college, she actually was planning a trip, like a second honeymoon. As she's like proposing the second honeymoon to her husband, she's like, yeah, we can have time for it to be us, just us again. I guess in her mind, she just wanted to find herself, as a wife, as a woman, just without having to run after their child. And so basically, like, he pulled his bags up out of the closet and was like, yeah, so I mean, it's time for us to separate, because it's not another woman, but are you really happy with me? And I was just sitting there thinking, oh, wow. Well, one, I was like, wow, maybe Dale and I should have watched this together and we can talk about it. But then I was like, he probably wouldn't want to watch it, and I'll just tell him about the movie. But I had been thinking about that because I guess by the time you guys hear this, we would have already gone on just like a getaway couples trip. And I know it's like COVID and everyone has to be careful, which, of course, be careful, be cautious. But it was like, it's been months since we've like really had any.
Oh, it's been over a year.
It's okay. Yeah, true. Because before our daughter, we hadn't really done anything or gone anywhere. Like, we had our anniversary at home, and all those things are cool and stuff, because that's just the season that we were in. Then the virus hit and everything really shut down. Remember before we had our daughter, I was like, man, we need to go on a date. We need to go somewhere. And you were like, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere for the next couple months. And I'm just like, now that I look back at it, I'm like, did he know that it was like something on the rise, or he was just talking about because
Well, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was just that at that time we were planning on moving. I didn't think it was wise to try to plan a trip while not knowing how much money we're gonna have to need to put out.
We
for the move.
already moved. No, we had already moved by then.
Oh, I was thinking about before we moved.
No, we had already moved by then. This is right before we had our daughter. You were saying, well, we're gonna have a newborn baby, and so it's like we're not going nowhere. We're gonna just be in the house, clank clank. We're not going nowhere.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But also, it was okay. So you said it wasn't after the move. So I'm thinking maybe I was thinking about what we had already spent a lot of money with the move and movers and just didn't want to spend that kind of money, going on a trip, and it's funny because sometimes you think to yourself, if I could go back, maybe I would have. But I mean, anyways, it's neither here nor there.
It is here nor there. I want to ask you a question while we're on the topic.
Go ahead.
So before all of this, would you have taken a cruise? Because cruises are now like shut down. Like I don't think anyone's able to take a cruise from America.
I'm not really sure, to be honest. Because I think my mindset then was that I didn't want to put out a lot of money or put out that kind of money after we had just moved and paid for movers.
So this is why I asked, because you said, looking back, you would have did things differently.
Yeah, I understand that. I may have would have done like a little small getaway, like a couple hours.
Couple hours?
A couple hours away and just get like a little cottage or something. But still, because I mean, just think about it. Right after our first Thanksgiving, water had backed up into our house. So it's just like my mentality is always like, you never know when something's going to come up, if something's going to happen, and something did happen. And thank God that we had the resources and the finance to get it fixed. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes like I think about things like that. But in hindsight, with this trip that we're going on, I'm just thinking about how with the baby and the holidays and COVID-19, because I have so many vacation days that would have been used, so I'm off almost a whole month as far as vacation time. So it's like if COVID-19 wasn't going on, we would have been on at least 2 trips by now, or at least we would have used 2 weeks by now, So, but because of COVID-19, we didn't get to do anything all summer and all winter, and that was the holidays, and I'm off for a full month. So it's like, you know what? Probably been in the best interest of us to go on a trip because, one, I'm off for a while. And 2, we haven't really done anything all year because of COVID. So it's probably mental-wise, just kind of decompress and release and things like that is probably just the best of going on a trip. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. No. I know what you're saying. I was about to say, well, we didn't have to go through all of this being on shutdown for you to understand it. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm always down for a trip. But, but that's where I notice our mindsets differ because I feel like we can always do something. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's just like the difference between maybe like a husband and wife, and not like the husband always thinks about the finances and the wife never thinks about it. But I think that because we see things differently, I just seen it differently. I'm just like, why can't we just take a weekend, romantic getaway or whatever? Because remember, I was asking you about like a baby moon and stuff. I said, yeah, people do baby moons where they just kind of go away before they have the baby, things like that. And you were like, I ain't never heard of a baby moon. Like, what is that? Hey, we just see things differently. It doesn't make it right or wrong. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, or in the grand scheme of this conversation, I think now, not that you didn't see that was important before, but I think now it's just kind of like, yeah, we've kind of been stressed and, homeschooling and kids. And I think it's just, you have a moment away. Not away, but like sometimes I think it is good to get away as a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It could be a staycation, Doesn't your aunt and uncle do staycations? Like one year we went to go visit them and they were like, yeah, we went out of town.
Like once a month, yeah.
Once a month. Oh, yeah. They go once a month. Yeah, but no, they were telling us how they go out of town.
But they don't have kids, though. I mean, you gotta think.
They don't
about
have
it.
Young kids.
Yeah. You're phrasing that. All their children are grown, so you can.
I understand that, but you have to still make that like even before then, you still have to make either dating or like a little like 2 and 3 day getaway, or you know what I'm saying, or just a night stay away, or a night without the kids.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you know what I'm saying, like. Just, and not being selfish with it, because I forget who I was talking to about it. Oh, yeah, when I was asking our friends, like, can they keep the kids? And I was just like, yeah, so I only want you to keep them like maybe 2 days, and then maybe like they can go over to my mom's. And then, my friend asked me like, hey, are you uncomfortable with them staying with me that long, or do you just want them to spend time with your mom? And I said, well, actually,
take them.
Well,
take it as long as you want to.
well, no, but I said, hey,
You can have him for the whole month if you want to.
Oh gosh, Dale.
No, I'm joking.
Not the whole month though.
Yes, for the whole month.
Look,
if you
I
want
don't think
to.
I can handle that. Like, no, Dale, you be faking because because it be some nights where, or a couple, like if you have extra days off of work, you'd be like, man, I really miss, and I'm just like, you miss them? Like, I really miss them, and I'm just like, really? But no, I mean, so.
I'm joking.
No, well, yeah, I know you're joking now, but you do miss them. But no, so I was explaining to my friend that I was like, well, no, I just don't want to. I want to like maximize my time. I don't want to overstay my welcome with like you keeping the kids. So I have to strategically plan so that if you keep them this time, it's not like we'll keep them this week, we'll keep them this Wednesday at 2, and then keep them next Wednesday at like 2 to 5.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, then it becomes not an obligation, but then it becomes a different conversation. Basically.
It's different if it's like once a month. But what I will say is that I wanted to say, Sherelle, she actually wanted to go on a cruise once we had the baby. And, well, no, before we had the baby, she was telling me, once we had a baby, we can go on a cruise. And I remember one of my friends was like, what? Go on a cruise? It was like, and do what? Like you got a newborn baby. Like, what you go do on the cruise? And, I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, man, come on, man. Be for real. Like, yo, like, I mean, it's just certain things like because we have children. To me, as an adult and just having children, you can't really go away and enjoy yourself with children the way you could or would if you was just you and your wife.
Well, hold on. Can I say this? This is why you make it a family trip. You had the grandparents or the great uncles come on a trip because they sit with the bags, they sit with the kids, they love the time, and then it's just kind of like, oh, well, let me hold baby John, or let me hold the baby, and y'all just go on. We're gonna sit here and take a nap. That's why you make it a family trip. And then y'all be on the other side of the boat, because that's what I had in my mind. We make it like a family package deal, right? And then like Lil John, and not Lil John though, but
and the East Side Boys.
I guess so. But look, hey, then it'll be a party cruise, right?
Nah.
But no, so you get the grandparents. You always get the grandparents or the great uncles, the great aunts who still got a little bit of energy to keep up with the little ones. And then they sit with the bags, they sit with the kids, and that was my idea with the cruise. So you want to throw me out there, but I'm just saying.
But really what I was saying is that when you have children and you're married and you haven't been anywhere in a while together, just the two, you really realize, or you really should feel the need or should understand the need just to get away with just you two, because I mean, just like I said before, when you go on vacation with children, it's not as easy as just going. Like oftentimes people who don't have children, they don't really understand. Like man, my wife, if we go on somewhere, like, man, what took y'all so long? We're like, man, it's 4 of us. It ain't just 2 of us. It's 4 of us. We got to get the kids ready. Then we got to get ready. And then you have to grab diaper bags and grab bottles. So, so it's not as easy just to get up and go. But, when you're on vacation into another state or out of town or another country, wherever your spouse choose to do, it's just you and your spouse. You can just get up and go. You can sleep all morning, sleep all day without interruptions. But with kids, that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that one of the things that I have learned now that we have, multiple children versus before we only had one child, but now we have multiple children, is that I understand now the importance to get away and just to kind of, like I said, decompress, and really get the opportunity to enjoy your spouse, enjoy each other's time and company without any type of interruptions, saying, not that I don't love my kids, because I do, but oftentimes, people just don't realize just how, when you have children, people kind of make their life solely about their children. So the totality of their life is about their children, and they kind of begin to neglect their marriage. So I just think that one of the things that I'm coming to understand as I'm beginning to be an older man and coming, have some years in marriage, is that now that I have multiple children, I see the need to get away, just to get away from the children and just be me and my spouse, because there's a need for that. Because if you don't pour into your marriage, then, it'll just be, it's like getting a jug of water or a jug of juice and pouring into a cup. You can keep pouring. Let's say you and your wife symbolize this, the jug. If you keep pouring into your children, and after a while you'll be empty, and there won't be any time or energy, or you won't create a space for just you and your spouse. And so your whole marriage becomes about children. So I can see why when people's kids get older or go to college, they just roll out because the totality of their life became about the children. It was never really about us as a married couple. We have a friend of ours who has 3 children as well, and him and his wife are also going on a week trip as well. And I'm like, wow, I'm definitely glad to hear that, because I mean, when you married and you got 5, 6 kids, I mean, you need that. You really do need that. If you got 1 kid, you need that. That's one of the things that we wanted to convey. And also, I wanted to say that as far as the movie, that actually happened to somebody in my family. They have 3, 4 kids, and the husband just one day up and just rolled out. So like I said, it's just another reason just to always create time away from the children with your spouse.
What came to mind when you said that was emotional abandonment. I was just thinking about the things that people say, I don't know, when they don't feel like they're connected to their spouse anymore. And I think it's not like a physical thing because, we all know that you can be with a person, sleep with them, just kind of go through the motions. It's like, what's that song by Tamia? Do you remember it?
No.
Stranger in My House. That's the name of the song. And so, I mean, as a kid, you listen to it and you're just kind of like, you just like the singing. So you just sing it. I thought about that song. And then I thought about emotional abandonment. It's just kind of like, I'm going through the motions with this person. Do you even know who I am? So I'm thinking that's kind of what happens. And so emotional abandonment is the unforgiveness taken to its extreme conclusion when we feel that our spouse has hurt us and we refuse to forgive them. We look for ways to protect ourselves from being hurt again in the future. Basically, there's like unforgiveness, there's callous treatment, lack of effort, lack of time, fear of talking through issues. And so not that it is like obvious, like emotional abandonment, but I guess like throughout the years of just kind of going through the motions, you don't reconnect with your spouse, like because you're busy, like, okay, the children got this or dance or, basketball, school, homeschool. And then once they're gone, it's like, I don't even know who you are anymore.
One of the things that a buddy of mine told me, he had, him and his wife actually have 4 children. And another brother of mine I know, him and his wife has 3 children. One of the things that they both said to me, and one of them, when he said it to me, he was like, what I'm about to say to you, it sounds very taboo. He said, but I'm going to say it anyways. He was like, you get married and you have multiple children, you actually have to set time aside with your wife to have sex. He was like, even to be intimate as it relates to y'all just talking about, y'all just having a conversation. He was like, man, you really have to set time aside. He was like, whether if it's when the kids take a nap or putting the kids to bed, he was like, sometimes when me and my wife had something we wanted to talk about, we put the kids to bed early.
They said they actually did a Google calendar. Yeah. Had to put it in, shared the Google calendar.
Yeah, just so that they can have that time together. The mentality that people take is, well, whenever we can spend time together, we'll just spend time together. But the problem that you'll find out what that is, it's very unintentional. And when things are unintentional, it doesn't really happen. You remember the saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So by not planning to spend time with your spouse, you're actually just saying we ain't gonna spend time at all. And just saying like, yeah, I spent time today with my wife and the kids at the park, like with your wife and kids at the park. Like you spend time with your family, you spend time with your wife. And I do understand what people are saying. Like I understand because sometimes if you're at the park pre-COVID, if you're at the park and the kids playing, you can have a conversation. But even then, you gotta make sure your focus is on the kids so they don't, run away or not run away, but somebody don't try to snatch them up or whatever. So, and also not to offend anybody, because I don't want nobody who's listening to this who wife may have left or husband may have left to be like, well, that ain't why we got divorced, or that ain't why he or she left. So I don't appreciate you talking about that in your podcast, So but that's not what I'm saying. We're just saying. I'm just saying that from my own personal experience with a family member. That I'm married and have multiple children. I see the importance of it, and oftentimes I'm very close to people who don't see the importance of it. I won't say they don't see the importance of it. They may not understand that they need that. I'll say that.
They don't understand that they need time alone with their spouse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because, I think just from a natural and a psychological standpoint, when people have kids, especially for women, it's like when 7 days a week, I don't want to say 24 hours a day, but 7 days a week, let's say 15 hours a day, because I said 15 because when the kids sleep, what I'm saying, they sleep. But 15,
right.
15 hours a day, you're so concerned it's the kids, like it's kind of hard to turn that off. And so then your husband comes home from work. He may have had a stress day at work, or vice versa. You may have had a stress day at work, and you just want to kind of talk to somebody and get it off your chest. But because you got kids and it's kids, maybe playing or being loud, that never happens, and you just think about that going on for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, eventually it's something gonna happen. And I feel like oftentimes people always try to pour into their marriage once it already needs fixing. That's why me and my wife, we're advocates of preventative maintenance. We get counseling when our marriage is going good and when it's going bad. We spend time together when our marriage is going good and going bad. Because if I do it when it's going good, it won't really be difficult to do it when times get hard.
Don't say it won't be difficult, because it still be difficult, because we have pride, we have a soul. There's things that we just don't want to give up. Like
what I'm saying is that, like, if we never spend time together, if we never go to counseling, by the time we actually need it, it's much more difficult to want to do it, because it's like I ain't never been there before. I want to buy my business. That's what I'm saying. But if I'm already doing it, I may do it begrudgingly, but I'll do it though. You know what I'm saying? Just
as far as what? Because you're already going to counseling, or
yeah.
I would just say this. I mean, it'll be hard either way, because it's still a heart issue. Like if there's an issue that you don't want to address, or you don't think that it's an issue, but your spouse does, then, I mean, it's still difficult and it's still work. I mean, it's the same, like the example you gave earlier. It's like, if I'm pouring out here, there, like, we more willingly can pour into our children, pour into our friends, into our work relationships, or our friendships, our family. And then our spouse is just sitting there like, hey, I see the jug is empty. Like, when we going to refill this thing? And it's almost like, well, refill it with what? I mean, and you're looking at all these other places or areas where I guess you have been getting fulfillment in those areas, like as far as with the great conversations with the friends, or, you're loving on the kids, or work, you've completed a task at work, and then you get home to like this wife or, this husband, and it's like, I don't got nothing left for you.
Yeah.
I don't have anything left for you. So, I mean, I think either way it's work and it's difficult. So to say that it wouldn't be, I mean, I get what you're saying, because you're like, you've kind of been talking about things been either going good, and you guys have been focused on kind of improving in the areas where you need to, like, improving your marriage or growing in areas, but also too, like, you can't avoid the work. I think a lot of times people avoid the work. I mean, if I'm honest, I've avoided the work sometimes. Like,
it's uncomfortable. One of the things that you'll find is that people try to avoid uncomfortable situations, even with their spouse. It's like, but no, sometimes, well, I'll say if it's your spouse, most of the time, it's very imperative that you just have those uncomfortable conversations. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Uncomfortable with an end goal, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there always has to be an end goal to come together and reconcile.
Oh, okay, because I mean, we can have plenty of uncomfortable conversations, but it's just gonna be uncomfortable. It'll just be. You've heard the saying, like, "I got time today." Like, some people come to the table with, I got time to fight today. And it's not I want to fight because I want to make it better. I want to fight because I had a hard day at work. I want to fight because these kids get on my last nerve. or somebody says something slick at their mouth or whatever for like the third time, and I'm over it. But because your spouse is right there, it's like, boom, you done left the microwave running. I hate that. You done left the light on, or what, what I'm saying? And it's just like, you don't realize that you are projecting.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the other day, sure, I mean, we were talking about false humility in marriage. We dealt with it our first few years of marriage. It's like, well, she doing this, it really get on my nerves. But I'm gonna just be quiet. I'm gonna just be quiet, and because and act like it don't bother me. But after a while, the problem is false humility eventually wears off.
How so?
Because if someone is doing something to you and I'm never addressing it, I'm just keeping silent, but inside is eating me up. Eventually, like a bomb, you'll explode. And I mean, I'm not saying you might beat somebody up or run somebody over, but it's like eventually you might have a fit of rage and just like screaming and yelling. It's possible, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if something bothers you, just bring it out to the forefront. Don't try to keep it inside, because if it bothers you and they know it bothers you, they might be able to correct it. And it's funny because we were on a call today about marriage, and one of the things that I said was that one of the things that kind of get people in trouble in marriage is unrealistic expectations, and expectations that they haven't made known, unknown expectations. It was like you're expecting something of your spouse, but they don't know what it is. So you get mad and you start to boil, but it's like they don't have a clue of what you even want or why you're even upset.
Well, let me tell you
And
why.
women do it a lot.
No, I was about to let me explain.
It's like, hey, but you all right? Mm-hmm. You sure? Mm-hmm. You was like, you fine. Nah, I'm all right. Like, you want to talk? Nah, I'm good. Like, well, you don't look, I mean, like, I know you when you're good. You don't look good, so just talk about it, you know what I'm saying?
No, let me explain, because I knew you was about to go there. No.
Over there dying in the inside.
It's not funny. No, I was going to say, actually, you're supposed to understand that when we get married, that you automatically become a mind reader of your wife. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, if only I was Jesus Christ. I'm not Jesus Christ, so hey.
You're supposed to become a mind reader, duh.
You know what's funny though? It's funny because I remember when I was a kid, I was in church. The pastor used to always say, "You know the funny thing about unforgiveness?" He was like, "You over there mad and bitter, and the person over there living their life happy." And you know what I'm saying? It's like it's true. It's like you over there mad at the world, and your wife over there or your husband over there like clueless and just having a good old day. Work was good, life was good. So it's like you over there mad, angry. It's like, hey, you know, a person can't correct, or a person can't address what they're unaware of. Even if you told them 500 times on that specific day, they may have done it again and may have not been aware of it. Just tell them again, or tell her again.
Yeah, but at what point are you going to come to the real... You know what? I feel like this is a different conversation that we about to have because... because let me just say this. Like, we're talking about pouring into one another. We're talking about, you know, coming back together with your spouse. But it's like, I mean, I've used this word when thinking about how things could be going on with me. And because we're so consumed with, like, the kids, with work, and you know, just everything else in the world, you know, shoot, my grandparents, I feel like they consume with the news. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I turn around, you see that new COVID vaccine, you see that new, you know, what they said.
They were shooting in Baltimore.
Oh my God.
Y'all know that? I'm like, I have no clue. Ain't nobody shooting on where I live in Baltimore, so it's irrelevant to me.
I mean, yeah. So you could just be consumed with all of that. And it's just like, so you did not see that I'm over here, because you said something about like we could be over here dying inside, and it's just like, when will you see that irritates me? And today I just needed that one thing to be done, or I don't know, it would have just been nice to get a pat on the back to just be like, you know, they're there, you know, you had a rough day, sorry to hear that. And I know the world doesn't do that, but I'm not expecting the world to do that. I'm expecting the one that I love to do that.
What I will say is that what we do is, it's kind of like we know quite a few couples who have been married for, I'll say 13 plus years. Another couple 17, another couple who we look up to been married for 30 years. Oftentimes people look at people who've been married for a really long time, and they see how they respond to each other, and they see how sometimes, let's say the wife may make the husband a sandwich, and she knows he don't want ABC and D on it, versus you've been married for a year and a half, and she make you a sandwich. You're like, you know, on like pickles. It's like, but again, you're expecting something that somebody who's been married for 30 plus years have kind of accumulated over that time, and you're expecting that from somebody who's been married to you for a year and a half. They don't know you that well. Period.
Okay, so then what do you say to the husband or wife who's been expecting something for about 5 to 10 years and it hasn't happened yet? What do you say to those wives or those husbands?
You gotta be more specific. That's a very vague statement.
No, I mean, you made a vague statement about the sandwich. So what if
that was specific? That wasn't vague.
Okay, you want me to be more specific? What if the husband has been expecting pickles on his sandwich for 5 years and the wife still does not do it?
Pray about it.
Pray about it?
Seek the Lord.
What I'm trying to get to is just that, like, and I was saying this to a friend the other day. I was just kind of like, expectations are a funny thing. You can look at someone else's marriage and you see what they receive from their spouse, right? They receive like a kiss when they walk in the house and flowers, or, you know, or just anything, or coffee or tea or whatever, like when they get home. And you could be over their home at that time, and you're like, oh, wow, every time John gets home, you know, he gets tea. And so when I get home, I don't get no tea, no kiss. Like, so you start expecting that and putting that on your spouse, but it's like, do you really want that? Or like, what is it in your marriage that makes your marriage work? What makes your marriage
like what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want? Because like, so we have like our same like set of friends that come over, and this this one couple, the wife, I always say that she starts stuff. You could tell she's a younger sister, or she's the youngest, even though she's older than me, but you could tell she's a younger sister. And I'm like, because you always over here starting stuff. I feel like that's what younger sisters do. They start stuff, right?
But not in a malicious way. Just to kind of.
Oh no, yeah, no, not malicious at all. But she joke around and like she'll say, "Oh, well, Dale, like, where's Sherelle's this or where's Sherelle's that? You got one for her too?" And Dale could be like, "Oh, she don't care about that." And then she's like, "Nah, she want one. She demanding it, right?" And so I'm sitting there like, I actually don't care about that. But I have to say it out loud, because then if I sit there and dwell on it, I'll be like, yeah, oh my gosh, well, her husband would have gotten her one. And, and I'll start to try to process that, maybe I really do need like a Bentley or a Range Rover, because, that's what, her husband got her. And so that's what I need. But it's just like, you know what? I don't really expect a new car. I really don't care about a new car. Like, I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't apply to my marriage, and I'm not going to make it an issue if it's not an issue.
We said all of that just to say that at the end of the day, for people out there who have children, do everything within your power to make sure that you spend that time with your spouse. I know some people, their work schedule is very hectic, so that they can't do it every week. Try to do it, every 2 weeks, or try to do it once a month, or try to do it once every other month. But do that and watch the fruits that come from that. Like, watch your marriage begin to bloom and begin to kind of explode in a good way. Like, watch the fruits of that.
What are we doing?
What do we mean?
People can't do certain things.
Setting time aside, like going to be with your spouse, going to be with your spouse apart from the kids. And for you guys that are married and don't yet have children, you'll be there one day, and this will all make sense. It'll all come back in full circle. You'll be like, man, I remember we listened to the About This Love podcast, and Dale said that. Oh my goodness, he was right, or Sherelle, she was right. Yeah, it's true, because people were saying this to us when we first got married. People were saying to us, we were like, man, we'll be all right. But now that we have multiple children, you're like, man, they were right. Like, sometimes you just don't realize how right people be. You're like, man, oh my goodness, I haven't been away with my wife in over a year, like alone with her in a year. Like alone, like not like no kids around, no kids in the house. Like, we haven't been alone together for over a year.
Also, too, I mean, if only we can go back in time to when we only had one child, and I was trying to plan all these trips, and Dale was like, trips? I'm just kidding.
I said, man, we had just moved, man. Get real.
Trips? I'm just saying, like, if we can go back, like, if we had a time machine, we can go back and take that cruise. I'm just saying.
I feel like in some instances, like women, like not like mentally, but women like children. They're like, yo, daddy, I want an RV. I want his house over there. Oh, really? Like, what am I, Bill Gates? Like, I don't have that kind of money.
I mean, if you're not Bill Gates, like, at least make me feel like that you my Bill Gates.
Like my wife was showing him videos on YouTube of people converting school buses to homes, so like tiny houses, and he's like, yeah, when we get our school bus, I'm like, yeah, wait about 10 to 15 more years.
I'm just saying. Look, I mean, y'all, I just feel like
I could buy you a toy school bus. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel like y'all get so focused on just bills and work. I mean, I feel like that was a real struggle. You got focused on bills and work, and I'm like, hey, over here. And I've heard other wives say that about their husbands, because like, not that because you're a sole provider or things like that, but I feel like as men, if you guys have a problem that you try to figure out in your mind, it's almost like it consumes your mind, and you almost like block everything else out and can't even, you can't even, compartmentalize. Yeah, so I mean, you guys do great with that. Like, you can't move on to the next step until this problem was solved, right? But it's almost like, I think the balance is with a husband and a wife, like the wife is just kind of like, yeah, but what about us? Or what about this? Or what about that? And it might be the opposite depending on like who you are in your marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like the type of person you are and the way that you think. For the wives that I've spoken to, it was like, yeah, I can't, for the life of me, I don't understand why my husband can't see that I'm over here like struggling or dying. And, I know I'm being a bit dramatic, but I'm over here dying.
Wait till I pay this phone bill. I come over in a minute.
Oh, my God.
I'm joking.
Nah, that'd be the truth, though. It'd be like, I got to figure out how we about to pay these bills. You mean go somewhere, cruise these bills. We better cruise to the bill collector. Like,
yeah.
Thank you for tuning into today's podcast episode. Be sure to follow and share your thoughts as we continue the conversation on About This Love's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Join the About This Love community on Discord. The ATL podcast episodes can be found on all podcast streaming platforms. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please consider submitting a donation via PayPal or Cash App to keep our podcast going. Click on the link below to find our podcast and social media platforms. Thank you. Until next time, peace.